What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the two most recently added Mythic Sprites and how they are actually pretty good in Zero Build. As always, if you guys do enjoy this video, find it helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you would like to see more. Comment down below which of the Mythic Sprites you think is best, and if you guys would like to use my code in the shop when getting anything, it is EvolvedJake, just like my channel name is, and it is underneath the webcam at all times. So you probably know from the thumbnail that it is going to be the Vinnie Jr. and the Pollo sprites that we are talking about in this video. So the Vinnie Jr. was added around World Cup time, and what this does is adds damage to your slide kick, and you also get a fire rate and reload speed bonus after slide kicking enemies, which will have you absolutely melting people. If you are able to get a slide kick off in a fight, the amount of damage you can dish out, whether it's with your shotgun, your spray weapon, doesn't really matter. Every weapon is going to be shooting incredibly fast, and this is going to allow you to, absolutely melt enemies. And on paper, this does not sound very good. Like, slide kicking is not very practical, and while that benefit is definitely noticeable and is something that will drastically increase your DPS, with how inconvenient it is to slide kick an enemy, oftentimes it's something that is going to be more trouble than it's worth, and, potentially just put you more at risk, especially when it doesn't work out. You're going to look silly and it's going to completely backfire on you. So those main kind of like benefits are not actually why I enjoy using the Vinnie Jr. sprite, and not actually why I think it's really good. And so one of the main reasons why this sprite is amazing is that you get a movement kind of like bonus when sliding, and this can combo with other forms of movement really well to get you around the map incredibly fast. So I'll have a clip on screen now where after I overdrive nade, I just keep bunny hopping essentially every time I land, and I'm able to carry that momentum forward from my initial overdrive for really long, as long as you just like don't mess it up or hit something that kind of negatively impacts your momentum. You can travel around pretty much the entire map this way. And what you need to do is throw your overdrive or shockwave grenade and then sprint, and be sprinting fast enough to activate the effect of the Vinnie Jr. sprite. Because when you sprint with this sprite, if you sprint for like long enough distance, you will hear like a noise activation to kind of indicate that the sprite is working. And when that happens, if you have that effect when you overdrive or shockwave, you will be able to chain this movement over and over again by just like jumping and sliding every time you land, and you just chain that bunny hop over and over again, somewhat similar to the core medallion from this time last year. You do need to hold the sprint button down the entire time though, and that is why it works best with overdrive grenades, because overdrive grenades give you unlimited stamina for a period of time. You can do it with the regular shockwave as well, but you can, run out of stamina. And so it's best to kind of throw the shockwave, swap to your pickaxe, and then sprint for long enough before it goes off. That way you have the pickaxe out for unlimited stamina in Zero Build. Timing it with the shockwave is much more difficult to make happen. Like, you can mess that timing up, but with the overdrive grenades, it's really easy to make work, and you don't really have to worry about any sort of timing, because the overdrive grenades do give you the overdrive, unlimited stamina effect for a period of time. So just this movement is really good for getting around the map quickly, and it's also just fun and satisfying to do. Another huge benefit of the Vinnie Jr. sprite is that the damage that is added to your slide kick also applies to structures. And so, like I said, if you're sprinting for long enough, you will get like an auditory indication that the sprite is now, that you've sprinted long enough to make the sprite active. And when you sprint or when you slide into objects, you can break them. And so this will work on buildings, it will work on trees, rocks, pretty much anything an enemy that can hide behind. And people get used to playing fights in a certain way. If they have a rock or a tree in between you and them, they know that they can kind of somewhat maybe play Ring Around the Rosies with it and constantly just try to remain out of your field of view to, buy themselves more time and be harder to deal with, right? The Vinnie Jr. sprite, you could just slide kick their tree, destroy the tree. Now they're forced to fight you. And in a situation where you already have damage on somebody, this can be incredibly good and catch people off guard, like I said. So again, people get used to playing a fight a certain way. You might get tags on somebody with the Ranger pistol. They get to some piece of cover, and then now they're trying to play off that cover, maybe heal a bit before you get there, and then fight from the cover and hopefully have, somewhat of a protected cover, like use the cover in somewhat a way to protect their character to the point where they can maybe turn the fight to neutralize that damage advantage you've gotten on them. But when you, get a damage advantage on somebody and then just slide kick through their cover and completely catch them off guard, it is something that works really well. If you don't have damage on somebody, it can be risky to do. But if you already have them weak, I feel like that's the time where this is like incredibly helpful and can make a lot of what would be maybe, somewhat of a complicated fight incredibly simple. So the slide kicking on structures, I think, is really good whenever enemies are using any sort of cover or sitting in buildings. I've often liked being able to shockwave through walls onto people. And with this Vinnie Jr. Sprite, you can slide kick into walls and, again, completely catch people off guard and give yourself maybe a better opening to the fight than you would have gotten otherwise, because, again, people get used to playing fights a certain way, and when you have something like this that can just kind of turn that on their head, you typically do get somewhat of like a timing advantage because you're the one making it happen. So I think that is the best thing about this sprite. Unfortunately, it won't destroy bushes. I was hoping to just be able to destroy bushes with this easily. You can slide kick people out of bushes, and then in that instance, you would get your, fire rate or reload speed bonus, but it doesn't just automatically destroy the bush like how it does other pieces of cover. So the Vinnie Jr. Sprite, I think, is pretty good, and it's like pretty creative in terms of how you can use it to travel around the map faster, break enemy cover, or maybe if you do get a slide kick off, absolutely turn a fight and melt an enemy. The Pollo Sprite is a lot more simple. It gives you Siphon Shield over time after you eliminate an enemy, and this effect applies to nearby teammates as well. So you get 5 shield per second with this Pollo Sprite, and at level 1, you get 6 seconds of shield regen, so 30 shield for an elimination. And then at level 5, you get 10 seconds of shield regen, so 50 shield after an elimination. And I think this can be especially good because, third parties are always a factor in this game. And the time to kill this season is really fast. So you take a lot of damage in these fights. And because of that, I feel like it's decently likely that you will need to heal afterwards. This 50 bit of Siphon is not enough to just completely replace a healing item, in my opinion. Like, I still would want to carry heals. But where it is incredibly helpful is in situations where you are getting third-partied and you need to reposition. Because if you're immediately getting third-partied and you have this Pollo Sprite going, and then you're also drinking like a big pot or a chug jug, that affects stacks. So you're going to be getting the heal from your chug jug and the heal from your Pollo Sprite, and you're going to be able to heal up much faster than enemies might anticipate after you do win a fight. So again, third parties are always a problem. If you lost all your shield in a fight, you want to get back to full shield, as fast as possible. And so this Pollo Sprite, just combining it with your other healing item, will help a lot. Also, in situations where maybe you take less than 50 shield worth of damage in a fight, you could rely on the Pollo Sprite to entirely heal you and, save your healing item. That isn't something that you always want to do because being greedy there can kind of grief you. But again, just shield Siphon it's very easy to understand, I feel like, how this can help you. And then the fact that it applies to nearby teammates as well is also something that could be really helpful, especially if you have multiple people in the team using it and then you all kind of like benefit each other after a fight. And that can help you really deal with third parties easier than you would be otherwise. And so I think both of these Mythic Sprites are actually quite good and somewhat underrated. The Pollo Sprite was added last Thursday, at least added into the general loot pool, so it hasn't been out for pretty long. But the Vinnie Jr. Sprite has been out for a bit, and I don't really see that many people talking about it as much. So just wanted to let you guys know that both of these sprites are pretty good. And then the Vinnie Jr. Sprite, I feel like, creates a different kind of playstyle you can have, or allows you to make different plays happen than you would otherwise. And that's something that can be pretty fun and refreshing to play with. Fortnite also recently reduced the cost of resummoning these Mythic Sprites. They decreased the cost of a lot of different sprites, but the Mythics were reduced by 10%. So you now only have to pay $6,750 rather than $7,500 to spawn them back in, which doesn't sound like a drastic difference, but like I said, that's 10% difference. If you're going to be using these sprites, any amount of them being cheaper is something that would be nice for you because the Mythic ones are pretty expensive to buy back. But also, these sprites are decently common. I feel like Fortnite this season has like Mythic Sprites that aren't really Mythic, like the Vinnie Jr., the Peanut, and Puyo. And then the real Mythic Sprites in terms of being super rare are the Grim and the 0 Point. And so you can find these just from playing the game normally, even if you don't want to buy them back. So I think they're pretty solid. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you guys did find this video to be helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you would like to see more, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.